doing? I'm Scott, and this is Babbling Garbage. This is going to be a podcast. You'll hear audio, you'll see video, maybe both, maybe one or the other. Maybe you won't even want to hear it, you'll just want to watch us. I don't know.
Watch it or don't.
But with me today, I have Sweet, Len.
Sam.
No, it's not Sam.
Sandwich.
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 So we got Sandwich and Young Loaf.
Yeah,
you guys
Sandwich.
gonna drop your split together?
I'm gonna drop the deuce. But,
You gonna drop your 12-inch?
on the mic.
Come on, that's a final 10.
He sounded like he gave up halfway through.
as you can see how this is going. This is how it's going to be all the time. So it's okay.
It's been a long day. Sorry.
The existence of this show basically is going to be we're going to talk about whatever we want, go wherever we want. We don't have a real guideline to kind of follow. We're not here to go. We're only going to discuss this. We're only discuss this. This is just whatever it is for that day is whatever it is for that day. So
he's shitting all over my show. You prude and all your structure. God damn it! I hate all your questions.
Fucking capitalist. But, so
I'm the one that wanted the show to be free.
the
For your last.
Buy our shirt.
maybe
Throw at the camera.
maybe and today
shock there.
and today we're definitely going to have a discussion about what everybody is involved in as we are under the larger umbrella of Studio 4.
Nothing illegal.
Yeah, nothing illegal. Studio 4, which is Drug Front, which was started by this gentleman here, and now we are all basically, I guess, working for him at this point, if we're all going to be under his umbrella of Studio 4? Are we your employees now?
You know, you're part of a team.
Is Sandwich HR?
You're not
This is
I love the VHR, dude.
this is
Fuck
a co-op because we're paying for the rent here as
I'm
well.
a try-op.
Oh jeez.
As long as post-op.
Hey, you do you, boo.
I love the VHR. That's
You
perfect.
do you, boo.
I'd love the VHR.
So I can come to you for our retirement programs and health benefits.
And
Yeah,
so,
swing it.
with these guys, the reason...
Here's a smoothie. Here's your health benefits.
I get no health benefits.
Just give him life advice. That's not very good.
Don't smoke in bed. Don't smoke at all.
I hope you do nothing but drink fish oil.
She's not right for you.
Don't give you such bad gas.
I think that goes beyond HR.
That's my method of HR.
So the main thing I'm gonna start with is he's going to be doing something called Sweeetalks. Is that gonna be one word, 2 words? Have you decided yet?
I think it's one word.
Sweet something talks.
You should go with sweet riffs.
Sweet something sounds good.
Well, I've already been calling it Sweet Talks forever now.
Okay.
Alright.
It's done.
Something sweet. There you go.
We'll figure it out when we get there.
He's like, you go,
Someone will think it's a sex talk show, and then they'll get it. They're like, "Why are all these ugly dudes here?"
That's okay. You bring in a massive audience to try to peep at us, and then the ones who really like the content will stay.
It's called
you just weed them
clickbait.
out.
It works for most of marketing tools anyway,
Yeah,
so we might as well run with
You
it.
just do like the whole thing where somebody's folded like that and it's zoomed in, and then it zooms
So
out. And
every
it's just somebody's
picture of the
elbow.
episode should be you holding a dildo or a condom or something. It's just
My parents may or may not watch those episodes.
But you want his microphone to
But
look.
that's the thing, is the content will have nothing to do with it, but the image itself is clickbaited for you. Alright.
And in that vein,
It's your show.
And in that vein,
As someone who moonlighted working at a porn shop, I do not want to hold any more sex toys.
how did Sweeetalks start?
So Sweet Talk started a few years back. What? What?
He said how to start so painfully.
Excuse
Go
me.
on.
Rude.
Go on. I'm sorry. Go
Fucking rude.
on.
So I was bored. I mean, I got a back injury at work about 6 years ago.
So I was right then.
Painfully.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Shut up.
Sure, I guess. And like, so I didn't go out all that much, and I started listening to a bunch of podcasts and this, and it's like, I could do this, and you know, honestly, it's really hard to continue doing a podcast, trying to like any kind of show, because you got to be consistent and keep up with the content. So my idiot ass, I wanted to try to like do something where I was just kind of like nonchalantly talking with my friends and stuff. So I had 2 of my friends come over. They would get drunk, and like while I'm trying to like go along with the show, like I would always ask them like, please just write down 2 or 3 things you want to talk about, so we can like kind of do a guideline. It can still be free form and this and that. Of course, they would just get drunk and do dick and fart jokes towards each other while I'm trying to do like the subject and stuff.
Oh, yes, the last great frontier of jokes.
Yeah, right. I mean, because we're all 12, and so I just kind of was annoyed and sick and tired of trying to get those guys over to my house where they would just get drunk and then leave my house and not clean up after themselves. But when I have to go over to their houses, I always got to clean up after myself because I don't know.
Yeah, you need a friend.
Y'all rude. And so
Y'all motherfuckers rude.
And so, yeah, after a while, it's not super expensive to try to like have your own thing, depending how long the episodes are. Like mine were an hour long. Some of the people who actually listen to the show, they're like, you should really make them like a half hour, this and that. And I was like, well, you should eat a dick and try to make your own show because this is kind of hard work, but it's the laziest amount of hard work someone can do is making a podcast and keeping it going, because there isn't a lot of effort, but at the same time there is some effort, especially if you're trying to whittle it down to like a certain amount of time, and then
anything with post-production is always
and cutting out a bunch of the anyone like messing up or just mouth breathing or any of that stuff, that like, because you just want people to hear what you want to do. But again, my friends and I were a bunch of idiots, and I just didn't have time for that, to try to cut out a lot of the ums, ohs, and ahs. Like, I've been on a couple podcasts where they would ask me to try to not do that very much, and then I still would, and this guy just became neurotic. He's like, that's 77 ums that I have to edit out of you now. Thank you. And I was like,
78.
I'm sorry.
79. 80.
He leads in.
81.
It's like
your
A
mom.
long one.
To make your mom come.
So we're not an
yeah, dude, if I could have Lumberged him, that would have been hilarious.
We should do a barbershop quartet of ohms.
I mean,
The
it's just kind of those things, and then sometimes the more and more you do episodes, you get kind of used to what you're doing and this and that, and sometimes it's weird hearing your voice back when you think you sound one way, and then like you listen to it and it sounds either higher or lower than what you think. You're like, I don't know if I like this.
What do you want to do with it in the future now, going forward?
So with Sweeetalks now that we have this space, the other space in Studio 4, like I wanted to bring it back and maybe try to do some of the same stuff. Maybe try to talk about movies, comics, and video games, or what, any of the nerdy shit that I do. But we kind of do that in R&D, and I figure we would probably do that as well. Like whenever I'm on your show. Babble Garbage, is that what we're on?
Yeah,
Babbling Garbage.
You kept going like Babble Cabbage.
Yeah.
Babble cabbage.
Talking veggie.
But
Babble Cabbage. Like if you have a Boston accent.
I even though I didn't have cable growing up, I miss MTV. I miss like what things that I liked. I like band shows. I like showcases or whatnot. One of my old bands, we did this show called Stranger Music, which was on Mountain View's public access channel. We even wrote the theme song for it. It was pretty good. Anyone can go on YouTube and try to find Stranger Music TV or whatever. And so, all that was music performance for like 45 minutes. So what I want to try to do, is do like get a song or two from the band they perform. Maybe do a rig rundown if they have some cool gear. And we all know a bunch of bands. I know a bunch. I've already hit up a lot of them, and they seem interested. But knowing bands, they can say they're interested, and then when you try to hit them up, they always forget, because we're all adults. We have busy lives.
Yeah.
So
that's always the most difficult part about doing productions with multiple people, is because you tell people like, oh, that sounds great, and then when it's time to actually do something, it's just not around.
Yeah, I mean,
see, I got lucky. These assholes are already here tonight. So
remember when we tried to?
Hey, if I could live on my own, I wouldn't have any problems.
Remember when we tried to film the Down and Dirty video for Gangster Punk?
Yeah.
How I wanted to make it like that's my old band, where we were in film class and I wanted to do a video for my band, but also have a moving storyline within it, because the theme of the song actually happened to to my guitarist at the time. He was helping his girlfriend at the time move in to their place. He was outside smoking a cigarette. Some random dude asked for a cigarette. He tossed him one. And then, I don't know if it was a gang initiative, but like he ran up to the stoop and beat the crap out of my singer and the drummer of my singer's girlfriend at the time's band. And so everyone was like, what the fuck? So we decided, I was like, you should make a song about them. And so that was our song Gangsta Punk. And I was really into the Warriors, that movie The Warriors back in the day. And so what I did was I went up to all my friends' bands that we've performed with, that Down and Dirty performed with, and I was like, hey guys, I have this music video that I want to do for Gangsta Punk, but also it's for my college course, and I need to get this done. So I wanted all the different bands to dress up like they were a gang from the Warriors. And so it would be this dude from the 6th Street Snorkel Dorks, which that was a drunken high moment that I really loved, that I came up with that because we were sitting there.
Dorks are whale penises. So
the video, so like when we were recording the song,
6th Street whale dicks.
Yeah. So because it happened on 6th Street in downtown San Jose, and I don't know where Snorkel Dorks came from. I just thought it was real funny, and I asked our buddy who was pretending to be a DJ before the song went on. I was like, yeah, dude, shout it out to the 6th Street Snorkel Dorks. Of course, we're all like getting high while doing it. And so he does that, and then he replicated it in the video, which we wanted to try to make it like, the lady from Carmen Sandiego. When all you beboppers and headstoppers and gobnobbers and all that. But we didn't fully do that, so we got a picture of his face instead of that. But all in all, the scheduling didn't work for the bands, so always got to get that shit on tight. So it's just a video with no story.
No, I'm okay with that.
But the important part was that you were sipping orange and juice.
Some scissor probably happened. But yeah, so like I want to, you don't see very many, like, and with the talk shows, when they have the musical guest, they perform and they're like, oh, that's our show, guys, here's the bow, you sounded great, blah, blah. And sometimes you never think that, like, I know Conan handpicks all the musical guests. I think Fallon picks the guests too.
Grudgingly admits this.
I don't like him, but he made the Roots more famous to white people, so that's fine. But yeah, so like I want to be able to do that, and I want to kind of like, and like musicians have silly stories that sometimes you might not think actually happen, especially dudes who tour all the time. And so I want to be able to give them an extra platform, especially because in San Jose and stuff, there's really not very many places to perform anymore, so it would at least be cool to give like some live performances videos on YouTube, and then if they liked their performance, also they only get one take, just like you're on a talk show. So if they bungle the song, they fucking bungle the song, and I'm still gonna release it. I don't care, like even if they're my buddies' bands, and that's probably how most of these are going to first start. They're all my friends' bands. So we'll probably give them a warm-up song, won't record that, and then record. And then however they performed it, it's like that. But if they liked all their performances, what I'm hoping we can do is just give them the audio tracks of those, and they can release those for free on like SoundCloud or whatever. And that way, like, everybody wins. Like, we're both promoting ourselves, and then also they get some extra stuff out of it. For our Patreon page, what I was thinking for like extra stuff, so like the show's already going to be free, but if you subscribe to the Patreon page, if they happen to have done a third song, they get the video of the third song. Or I was thinking maybe doing ending credits during the second performance, like to cap it off. So then maybe if they don't do a third song, then they get the performance without the end credits, so they just get that. So maybe that's some like incentive. If people like the shows and stuff, they can do that. I'm just trying to find different ways.
When can we expect, I guess, for that to kick up? To see that?
So, because it's the end of the month right now, or the end of the year, December I want to start scheduling everybody to where I can start probably filming the bands in January. If I can maybe get 4 episodes worth going, I feel hopefully that I can try to edit and at least have the first episode done by first or second week February. So then, depending how many times we film and how often we can edit, I want to be consistent, but I want to either maybe aim for every other week, so 2 episodes a month, or maybe start off maybe only 1 episode in February to give me more time to edit and stuff, to fully find out what we're gonna do, and then after that maybe March twice a month.
Not bad.
So that way we're not lagging. Maybe do it like a season system, so it's like, okay, we've done like 10 or so, 15 episodes of this, see how it feels, and then if people are liking it, maybe do another batch. But I don't.
And then you hear some guy who goes, "Man, really? Did you need that many episodes per season?"
It's just kind of it depends like on a
12 episodes. It only needed to be 8.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends on like production budget, like what we can do, because it's gonna be DIY. All the bands that I've talked to, I was like, look, guys, this is probably gonna be shitty, but it's gonna be fun. Like, I want it to be fun. You know, we can do whatever we're gonna do. I'm probably just rambling now, so I hope it goes well. I hope it becomes fun. I feel like I know I can talk to people once we get into something, but I'm sure there's gonna be some of those, that Saturday Night Live skit where Chris Farley has his own talk show and he's just like, that one time you were in the Beatles. That was awesome.
I didn't watch that.
Oh, good grief.
So like, and those will be genuine moments with me, because
I think if you avoid doing E before you host the show, you'll be all right.
I've never done E. Thank you very much.
I just mean the rubbing it.
That's something like Farley did, just like, because he's a nervous Nelly. It gets the stage fright. But because again, like I enjoy and love music. So even like my friends' bands, even if they're some of my friends are shocked at how much I love their band, because it doesn't seem like this would be something you like, and it's like, yes, but knowing someone and then also like just listening more to that music, even though I'm a metalhead, I don't want it to just be metal bands. It'll probably be a fair share of metal bands and like some bands here and there, but I want to try to make it as diverse as possible. But it's probably mostly going to be metal bands.
Well, it'd be interesting, and once that kicks off, it'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out with the bands playing, and then having discussions and getting a different approach to it. I mean, because people like MTV and VH1, they've steered away from really the whole rock scene pretty much.
Yeah,
they're going with this pop scene and trying to do these weird shows on MTV instead of music and
reality television.
Those things that used to happen with talk shows that even VH1 tried to do.
Right.
They disappeared. They started shrinking down the music part of music television, and it's like
moving on to what probably is more profitable to them.
And another great thing is
people didn't buy albums anymore.
Yeah.
We're filming this in a practice studio, like in a facility. So like, there's a bunch of great bands here. Like, the surf band that's next door, I want them in on this shit. I want to talk to them.
Aloha Screwdriver.
Aloha Screwdriver is what they're called. They're fantastic. These assholes, no way. They can eat dicks. Like,
Blitzen Hummers.
is that who that?
With that being said, let's go into our HR manager, Samich. Sam is going to be doing something with video games.
Yeah, basically it's just my personal retrospective of my more memorable moments of gaming. So this is probably a 15-year stretch. I think as far as go back is probably
Pong?
No.
Pong?
No, not that far.
Some asteroid action?
Donkey
Not that
Kong.
far. Fuck, I didn't even play that shit.
Get back to the Ninja Turtles video game on NES.
Probably the farthest I'll go is Golden Axe for this Sega Genesis. So yeah, yeah, a long time ago. And probably I'll end it with Killing Floor 2, which is not a brand new game. I think it's been out for a few years.
There's always more games.
Yeah, there is more games, and there's going to be a point the one specific game I've no-lifed the most on is Warframe, 3,000 hours, questionably well spent.
I think I've only gotten 3 hours into Warframe.
You would be forgiven for doing so. In the case of a lot of people.
Before I got rid of it.
No, dude, I tried that lifestyle for half a year, and I mean, I kind of half regret it, but I did meet a lot of cool people I still talk to this day. So I think that's what I got out of that. At least some awesome nerdy friends to just chat online with and bullshit with at any time, and
it's like
go on to other games.
It's like going on a blind date, and then the blind date's just terrible and boring
But you still
and
talk
crazy.
to them.
And then ask you for more money so you can see more body parts.
Yeah, dude, I was at No Life for No Life for playing these fucking online gaming contests. I wouldn't sleep for 36 hours trying to rack up the most points for the team. Fucking taking breaks, leaning against the wall to fight the dizziness, and downing Red Bull and trying to push myself on.
I got bills and shit. I just can't. I like video games, but I just can't do that. Like all the people who are obsessed with Warcraft, World of Warcraft. Like, dude, go outside.
Like I said,
wash your butthole. Like,
Go outside, jerk off a tree.
Do something.
Like I said, it was only a 6-month period. I couldn't do any longer than that because everything about my life literally started deteriorating. It's like
Do you have
health.
Do you have an idea what you want to call it so far?
No title right now. I'm gonna think about it.
Sandwich gaming.
Sandwich game. This is me eating a messy sandwich. Like,
can you call it EA microtransaction?
Loot box.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes is free, and after that, it's gonna be a charge for every extra 5 minutes.
Growth gaming.
play
Kojima's acid trip.
This fuck you gaming. Just be fucking.
Do you think we can say that EA is grabbing people by the wallet now?
Yeah.
I don't really play any other games. Like
at this point, I almost refuse to.
Oh.
Yeah.
The only. See, I'm not even sure if they're the same company anymore. The only gaming experience I had that I hated a company for it was Aliens Colonial Marines, because I got myself a copy and him a copy, and I spent like $120, and the game was terrible.
$60 each.
And
why would you do that?
Right,
Because I thought it was gonna be cool.
I
That's
thought.
why you would do it.
Right.
Did you buy it at launch, or was it already out?
at launch.
Shit sandwich
Unfortunately.
gaming.
Shit sandwich gaming. And it was. See, I don't know how this works because it was Gearbox, but I think that's just the developer, right? Not the company. Gearbox at this point did Borderlands.
So what happened was,
Okay, you fill me in.
Nerd history.
Gearbox did buy it, just like when they bought Duke Nukem, and both of those became piles of shit. But they were working with what was already made.
Okay.
So Sega originally was kind of doing the Colonial Marines because Sega has the license for the Alien games.
This thing had like a production hell, I
Yeah.
believe.
So there was a lot of stuff, and it just sucks that we were lied to about stuff. I didn't play the Aliens game even though I wanted to. Isolation's pretty good and creepy.
I haven't played it.
But like what Randy Pitchford did, and I love Borderlands, and that's why I'm kind of just like, oh, bringing this up. He took the money that was supposed to go into Aliens and into Duke Nukem and lobbed it all at Borderlands 2. So, it's just kind of one of those things. So he kind of, almost the same thing that happened with Andromeda, where
that's why I said I refuse to buy anything from BioWare or EA.
Yes.
Because of they just like, you can't do that.
So yeah, because of that fucking fiasco, like one of our more pushier friends online, I'm not gonna name drop him or anything. He was insisting on us playing Borderlands for like the longest time when it first came out. I was like, oh, let me see this game. I was like, Gearbox, fuck you. I'm like, I ain't doing this shit. And he's like, he asked me, what do you want to play? He's like, oh, I just don't like the theme, the art style. Yeah, that's what it is. Don't ask me any questions. Fuck off.
Was his screen name K-Space792?
Oh, why is that you?
Was it me? Was it?
K-Space.
and that's kind of what sucks because
Okay, spaces.
Wasn't K-Space.
Damn, Daniel, damn.
So is that like written like K space bar E?
Oh, Jesus. But before we were filming the stuff that I was talking about with like gaming and how I don't like online
See, now I'm
multiplayer and
imagining
stuff.
Kevin Spacey shouting racial slurs at other little kids.
Oh, come on, man! that's what I loved about the Borderlands series, is that I could play it by myself, or only my friends could jump into my game. And like and we were playing together. We could go off and do whatever we wanted to do, or but like we could still do missions together, but we could still do whatever we wanted. And then came back. It's not like Left 4 Dead, where it's like everyone has to stay together. Like, because I'm the idiot Leroy Jenkins. I was like, oh, what's this? I know this is over here. Well, everyone's like, no.
They
So
can,
like
fucking punish you if you go by yourself.
So like, unless it's like a boss battle, like we always did. Okay, we know that like within this one mission, something is over here and something is over here. The only thing that always sucks though is as you get a bigger group in, like, it gets harder. And that's also what's kind of fun too. So like if you're trying to help someone level up, you come in and you're a higher level dude, just the simple farming thing, and that can happen.
Piggyback on people.
And that's what I liked, and that's also kind of what I like about Diablo 3.
Well, I had second thoughts about lobbing blame at Gearbox, because I was just wondering, like, am I blaming the right person? Because you mentioned like Sega, and then it wasn't Sega, and it was Gearbox. I'm like, did Gearbox like get bought out by something else, and I'm just lobbing the blame at the wrong people?
No, it's Gearbox.
Okay.
And all in all, the problem is they showed you a test render video
It was actually better
that
than the final
looked
product.
fucking amazing.
Yes, I remember that.
And like that was only supposed to be the cinematics. While they were trying to say this is in game. That's why now when you watch any of those trade shows, they'll in big letters in-game graphics or cinematic graphics, because they were if they weren't sued, someone else was sued over the same thing. Or if not Aliens, I believe Gearbox was sued for Duke Nukem.
Okay.
For having like Xbox graphics when it was coming out on the Xbox 360, like that shit.
And speaking of that, are you going to be doing mostly like console or PC, or is it going to be a mix of everything?
It's initially going to start console, because that's basically all I played up to a certain point. The last console system I had was PlayStation 2. And then after that, I started working at Fry's with this guy, and I saw all the computer setups that were there for gaming. I was like, you know what, fuck consoles. Like, and I started doing artwork digitally. It's like, why am I going to waste money on a console? I can work and play at the same device and station and save some money while I'm at it. So
Yeah.
Probably at a certain point, like into the early 2000s, I was consoling, and then after that, it's been all PCs ever since.
I had stopped looking at console games after Mass Effect 3.
When do you think you'll have your first set ready to go for everybody to check out?
Well, I've been writing scripts. I've been doing a lot of rehearsing lines and getting video footage. It's something very new to me. I might ask him for help at some point, because I want to try to get more. Like, wait, do you know anything about After Effects? You do, right? Well,
He does.
Well, if you
It's what I do for all these guys.
okay, well, if you ever had any tutorials you've had online or you read, like, I might ask you at some point to shoot those to me. But I want to try to at least get a 10-minute video out in the next 2 months or so. I'm gonna try. This is all new territory for me. But I want to try. And if I can get better at this and get streamlined in my workflow and produce more videos regularly, I like to try to do at least 2 a month, and just have like consistent content for our Patreon, and just have bulk of content for people to consume, along with all the other things that we're doing, like the podcast and the movie reviews and stuff like that.
There you go, Shit Sandwich Gaming.
Yeah.
Well, we now have this TV. There was an aspect where we were thinking about the different things that we could review, that we were going to maybe do some like video game reviews. It would probably almost be like Conan's Clueless Gamer, or at least like if I'm playing, I'm an idiot when playing some of this stuff, so I'd be sitting there like...
I sit down in front of the console and like go over...
For example, Cuphead. Cuphead is fun, hard as fuck.
Yeah, I've seen.
To where I'm just like...
Yeah.
Yep. Put it down.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm stubborn as fuck. I'm afraid to touch games, because he introducing me to Skyrim. He's like, yeah, play Skyrim. I'm like, no, I'll pick the game up and I won't put it down and I won't stop till it's beaten. It's like, nah, go ahead. I'm like, okay. I'm like, fucking 1,400 hours later, this game's fucking awesome. I love Skyrim.
and then like
give me some more.
another thing too, because again, we do have the spacing to do it. You know, there's people who do like
live action
VR demos.
Yeah.
And stuff, so like we could probably put up a green screen. We might have to get Wi-Fi in here though. Like I can bring.
We need to anyway.
It'll be coming.
I can
That's why we
bring
need help on Patreon, folks. Support us.
I could bring demo gaming rig that we could like do some demos in here.
I actually would welcome that. Something more freeform and not formatted.
I can't play VR for too long because I get the foggy goggles.
Oh.
Because my face is too fat. And, like, just the pressure, like, just fogs up the lenses. So it's like, it's too foggy. So I can't play for very long. Also, it weirdly, like, pushes in on my nose, so I sound fatter than I am, even though that I am pretty fat. But it's just like, I'm like... you know, like, playing with the controllers and stuff. And also, it's a wide enough area to where no one's gonna like punch anything. I punched a chandelier on accident.
Nice. What game was it?
It was my friend's chandelier in his kitchen. I was playing Robo Recall. I was reaching for a shotgun, and like I didn't realize that I moved over too much. And as I was pulling out the shotgun from my back, I smashed my hand into their chandelier. Thankfully, it didn't break. But yeah, these are things that we can probably also assist you with on doing like video game stuff.
Let me know. I mean, I'm willing to do it. It's like get some more variety in that kind of format, so I'm down.
There you go. Come up 2018, some awesome shit with video games, Sweeetalks. And let's go on to Len, talk about Studio 4. Because this is something that you kind of started, and now we're all joining this whole stuff together with the R&D and the video game, the shit sandwich video gaming, and Sweeetalks, and Babble Cabbage, and all that stuff. So, I want to hear a little bit about the Studio 4. Like, why did you start it? And
go on, fearless leader.
Yeah.
Studio 4 is sort of an embodiment of something that I've wanted to do since I was in high school. Me and Sam attended a CCOC program while in school, which gave us training in things like animation and multimedia. And I remember just being exposed to the different areas of work and filmmaking and thinking, like, this is cool. You know, I've always kind of gravitated towards wanting to use the talents and the interests that I have to make a living. So trying to go down this road and utilize this asset that we have, it's kind of like Brian, you know, reducing his size of the studio gave us more room to do these things, and it's kind of a sink or swim moment for us. Like, over the years, there's a lot of projects that I tried to get moving, but it's sometimes difficult to get a group of people to be concentrated on something and have their schedules work out. You know, a lot of people will tell you, oh, you know, it's yeah, I want to help out, I want to do this thing, and then when it comes time to do it, you know, they're not around, and it's hard to get these kinds of things done without a team of people like you guys, who are willing to spend the time and the investment into making it. So here we are taking our first steps. You know, I always like to think of being a starship captain. So this is our ship, and then, you know, our work is the job and the objective. So,
are you excited that R&D is up and going? Is this like, because that's not the first incarnation of doing like movie reviews for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've tried to get into several projects in filmmaking, and then, yeah, I believe we did reviews under the name Nerd, NRD, and then R&D was just sort of like a rehash of that. And we did a couple episodes, but editing is really the biggest part. I find editing is just the most boring thing ever. But
editing audio, yes, but video editing can be fun and therapeutic.
It can be for me, but
I enjoy both.
Yeah, for me, it's like I said, the post-production thing is really sort of mind-numbing. All of the pre-production, all of the actual work, the filming and stuff is really fun to me, but then sitting in front of a computer and going is just it kills me. So yeah, whenever I can have somebody help me out with that, that's preferred. But I'm very excited I feel like the things that we are doing are steps in the direction of sort of, lifelong goals. And as we get through them, we're working out the details. It's sort of a rough start. We try things, and well, this doesn't work. This needs to be improved on, and we slowly sort of nail it down.
We have a lot of trial and error, that's for sure.
And can you give us a quick rundown of R&D, just to describe what it's about and what your goals are for the future for R&D?
R&D obviously stands for research and development. And so in that instance for the show, it's kind of like doing the research, which is why I enjoy having the nerd history segment of the show, which is like, okay, well, here's where these things came from and here's how they begin. And then development is sort of an aspect. The segments that I haven't done too many of yet, but talking about filmmaking, because these are things that I want to do and things that I observe other people doing, and talking about how they could have done those things better, or how those things could be developed better, because I hope to someday get into doing some filmmaking of my own. I mean, I've done some small things here and there, but I want to do more. So.
And what does everybody bring to the show? Because you've got normally it's you and Sweet, and sometimes Sam, when he can make it in, he'll come as well. And I think there's like one occasion or two where I'll pop in and help out. Like, if it's something that I've been highly interested in.
Overall, like across the board, everybody's got like a nerd pop culture background, but as usual, like anytime you have multiple people with multiple opinions, there's always slight differences to it. We're not always exactly the same. You don't always see the same thing the same way. But it's like Justin has a sort of encyclopedic knowledge of some of these,
History and background type.
Well, background, but it's like the franchise history is what I'm looking for. It's sort of a background of how these things were, how they used to be before they got applied to film. And then I have a lot of sort of perspective into the filmmaking process, and so I like to apply that to my perspective. And then Sam is sort of bringing like a perspective from an artist, but also as a more like normal, average kind of Joe, observing the process and watching it with us.
A realistic aspect of kind of like what the general person would probably
more
think,
subjective, I think.
Yeah,
is what I think.
Once you sort of, the thing about it is, I think like filmmaking or like a lot of things is kind of like music. Like when you become a musician, you start listening to music in a completely different way, and you notice things that the average listener isn't listening to, and then sometimes you become distracted by those things. And filmmaking's the same way. Like Justin and I have taken screenwriting classes and film production
and editing classes, and I hated so much stuff.
And so now, like as you watch a film, you're looking at those things that the average person isn't looking at, and you become distracted by those elements of like, oh man, they didn't do that right. They're moving the camera too much. Why did you use that transition? You're an idiot. Which happens to me a lot. But that's sort of how I judge like a good film. Is that if at any point in watching the film or the show, if I'm pausing to take notice of those things, that means that somebody didn't do their job properly. But yeah, I think that's what helps with having like that other opinion is like, well, I didn't see any of that crap. What are you talking about? I just wanted to see Frank Castle kill a bunch of people.
And he did.
And for those of you that aren't familiar, this has already been going. We've already got a bunch of episodes under your belt for R&D and then things you've done previously.
Stop to watch all of them again.
Yeah. So anybody hasn't seen them, go check them out.
Sorry.
You can find them. You can find them at the Patreon, which is patreon.com/studio and the number 4. And you can find it on YouTube, little clips of everything. Of the full-size versions are right now accessible by paying on Patreon. The short clips are what you're seeing on YouTube for free.
Oh.
But I would like to change that going forward from here on out. Actually, I believe that sort of generating an audience first is an important thing. And then as we get into bigger projects, like those things will be justified as more exclusive content.
And while we're on that topic, that's one of the things I wanted to kind of bring up from my thoughts is with the state of Hollywood. Since this is their chunk of R&D, I want to talk about the state of Hollywood.
Oh, it's not just Hollywood. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
and
gaming and politics, I think.
gaming, politics.
Although there haven't been stories about molestation in gaming yet. But we'll
it's
talking to you, K Spacey 714.
It's
That's not
it's-
looking Polygon.
I think EA has sort of molested their gaming base.
it's getting there, and they've already had a bunch. Like the video game community has already had a bunch of problems with Gamergate, which was the treating of females in video games, like content creators and this and that.
True.
Like
Yeah.
there was all that, and there's people. There's two sides of that story, but I mean, like the whole thing that's happening with Hollywood and TV and different markets, it's stuff that's happened for a long time that a lot of people knew about. I mean, you can go back to like all those people knew about Cosby. It just took that like Hannibal Buress said something and then everybody was like, "What?" But like people made jokes about that stuff all the time, and he used to be a dirty comic.
Before the ignorance, before the
But before the sweaters and the pudding came into place, and then like, but and it always sucks because you hear these things and you'll like read interviews or stuff, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, dude, these were like Hollywood secrets. Some of them secrets." Some of them
Sequence.
some of them were awful, that like they couldn't hold them that well, and some of them, were like people were like, "Holy shit, really?" Like the Louis one, some people were like, "Holy shit, really?" But it's like you could kind of hear some of that within his stand up, but also he like he admitted to it, and also there were people who did kind of like say stuff, but they never said Louis' name. And then when people were like, "Are you talking about Louis C.K. and blah blah blah," and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And that person was like, "No, I'm not talking about Louis," because they all those comedians helped each other out. Harvey Weinstein is a disgusting pig, and he shouldn't have been able to do that as long as he did. But because he had the power and the money and was on that rise and everything, he took it into a bad spot, and he could have been, he could have been a gentleman about things, but he tried to use that power being a fat, ugly nutsack, and that was the only way a woman could touch him. Like, to do it. Like, "You want to be in my movies? Icky, wicky, nipple, pinchy." Like,
I think...
Like...
I imagine
and
looking like Pac-Man a little bit.
And that's the thing. And that's...
behind him.
And that's
the girl. Here's Harvey Weinstein.
And that's just like...
And it's gone!
Just hearing some of these stories, and then even, like... And I'm sure, like, it's been talked about by other people, but, like, as a guy, then, like, hearing these stories, it's like... You sit back and you think about things that you've done in your life, even though, like... I'm a fucking nobody, but it's like, I've been drunk around chicks, and I've probably done things that aren't good, but I'm nowhere near the shitty as this person. Like there must have been something where I knew where the line was and it wasn't crossed. But there's, there are these people that are just sadistic and they want that power over people, and it's gross and it sucks. And
Well, I think sometimes it just goes to their heads. See, I don't believe that anything that he did was right, but I have to imagine that sometimes in his situation, he's a man in power in this industry. So sometimes you're met with those people who are willing to do anything to get ahead, and it becomes hard for them to distinguish which are those people and which of the people who aren't. And so they start blanketly treating everyone that way, and unfortunately, what's happened in the secrecy in that industry doesn't surprise me, given how regimented filmmaking in itself is. Because we know that even the script writing process is down to this whole, if you write a script that's more than 110 pages, we just throw it out. We don't even look at it, because it has to be in this formula. This is how we do things. Socially, a director screws up, and a movie doesn't well. That's the end of their career. So it really doesn't surprise me at all that this kind of thing has been going on, and to them it was just some, like a lot of them will probably tell you that's just something that happens when you're in Hollywood. And,
but someone, unless it's porn, someone shouldn't have to suck a dick to get a job.
Well, of course not.
Like, and it just sucks that men or women have done that to get jobs.
Right.
Like, and it is just shitty that's kind of what has happened. I mean, even in the music industry, that shit happens. Like, and if people want to, you could look at like any genre, and I know like if people wanted to talk about the genre, they're only gonna try to go after hip hop. But it's like, look at fucking awful hair metal in the 80s. Yeah. Look at like all that stuff with the scantily clad chicks. You know, sure, you know, hip hop, you know, an aspect of hip hop was, you know, blinging bitches and shit. And like, look at all this money, you know, pumps and a bump, and
sexuality and you know, just money,
and drugs.
Yeah.
And the scary part is a lot of this stuff hasn't gone to trial for a lot of these people. These things are all still sitting in the speculation booth waiting for all these trials to occur.
Weinstein's an ongoing investigation.
Yeah.
And this is what we talked about this, me and him, and I was like, yeah, they'll probably get convicted or something like that, and then careers are over, but they're going to be fine. Like, they won't work anymore, but they're going to go back home and selling these piles of money with all these mansions and live out the rest of their life just okay.
Weinstein laying his batter into a plant. Go. Comment.
I don't.
Yeah, I'll explain if need be.
I get it, but I don't have a comment on that. But in another current topic is with Brett Ratner and Rat Pack, his company. Brett Ratner is that shitty director who did the Rush Hour series and one of the worst X-Men movies known to man, The Last Stand. He gave us I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. He would belittle not Karen Page, wow. Ellen Page. He would belittle Ellen Page. I can't remember what was said, but she did some posts on like Instagram or whatever, and other people from the cast like came to her side and be like, yeah, this is how it was with him on set. And like, what I currently, so Rat Pack has this deal with Warner Brothers where they're producing a lot of their movies, like help financing. Gal Gadot, even though that Rat Pack did do Wonder Woman and produced Justice League, like Rat Pack is at the front of the Justice League credits. Gal straight up said, I won't be Wonder Woman again
as long as they're attached to it.
Well, because Brett Ratner was fired from Rat Pack, right? He was let go. But because Rat Pack is still a part of it, she's like, I won't come back until that company is removed from Warner Brothers, because
she's just going full hardcore.
Right, because it makes no sense to have a movie about female empowerment, but it's produced by a piece of shit, you know, who will grab someone by the pussy. Like, and the amount of clout that Gal has, and dude, she was ballsy for doing that. Like, because let's be fair, her only good movie is Wonder Woman, and her parts in Batman vs Superman and what she was in Justice League. So she is the embodiment of Wonder Woman. To recast someone after being Warner Brothers' highest grossing DC movie out of this new collective, to try to like swap her out with someone else, people will be like, whoa, what happened there? So like, I'm glad that they did the right choice and like got rid of that production company. You could find some other production company, you know, to like front the money.
She's doing what needs to be done,
right?
Which is like, we need to stop letting these things continue to happen and call them out. And that's the thing. Like, the behavior, like I said, doesn't surprise me, but the lack of people who are willing to say something as a third party is what surprises me.
That's what the internet's for, apparently.
Yeah, because I couldn't imagine being an actor or working in that environment and seeing that happen to somebody and just going, "Oh, I can't say it." You know what I mean? Like,
look at the people who have kind of tried talking,
their careers
talking about it
quickly.
Their careers are blacklisted. I mean, Corey Feldman. There's that video of him on the fucking View, and that cunt Barbara Walters is trying to talk him down. Like, you're going against the film community.
Yeah,
when he's like,
you're rocking.
My friend's dead. He killed himself because someone touched his booty hole when he was 5. Like, and you see videos of. I'm just
not to laugh.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I was trying not to laugh.
Booty hole. It was just the terms you picked.
I'm sorry, but you know, when Corey Feldman, you know, you see any, you look at his music career, which he has one. You look,
She has one.
He has one.
He has one. You look at that, you see how he's acting in that. You see just like interviews with him and stuff. Like, shit happened to that guy. There has to be a reason why all those Nickelodeon gals and those Disney gals become super fucked up once they turn 18 and they can do whatever they want. They're just finally being able to lash out to do whatever they needed. Some went in the rehab. Some no longer are alive. Some of them, you know, are just Lindsay Lohan.
Right. Just to get back on the point though, it's like
That is still kind of the point.
right. But it's just like trying to get back this point. It's like, yeah, all this was suppressed by courts and money until the internet came along. Because Hannibal Buress, when he called out Cosby about doing that stuff, he said he very much specifically said, do a Google search.
Right.
Everybody look. Holy shit! Spread that news all over fucking multimedia, all over social media, and everybody like lit that shit up like quick. And Bill O'Reilly, I'm not sure if he was saying that. I'm not gonna say out of context. Like he said, "Oh, you know, this is trial by social media." I'm like, well, yeah, these people suppressed all these secrets with money and like lawyers, like, and you have like this other outlet of people who are anonymous, have no ties, or are not gonna get drop down with consequences from the industry that's suppressing these and like victimizing these people. They're gonna speak up, and everybody's gonna like say something. Now.
Your money may have defended you well in the legal system,
but on the internet,
yeah, it didn't defend you well enough online.
You're fucked.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have to be careful about
Right.
that, about letting social media dictate opinion before, you know, there's any sort of establishment of what is or is not.
Orville has a good episode on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
just
watched
did
that. And, like,
It's such a great show.
Yeah.
I'm upset at how good that show is.
upset? Why?
It's good.
Because I'm not the biggest Seth MacFarlane fan anymore.
Well,
and like
He's
this
mad that he has to like something.
this show is yeah, I'm like Jack Black in High Fidelity. It's like, oh, this is that Seth MacFarlane thing. It's really good because it's what I've been missing out of Star Trek. Like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica. But like
George Lucas's vision.
But yeah, like
It's Brian.
sorry, trying not to change subjects, but I mean, yeah, I'm just shocked at how good the Orville is. Like that last episode
it's like you know,
from last week
liking it.
was really fucking good.
I liked a few episodes.
I like the show. I think it's they're on their way. It could be dialed in a little bit better, but it's a good like relief from a lot of the other things that are going on in TV. I do, and it's gonna sound like I'm anti-social justice warrior right now, but that is just not the case. But I do regret that the show often uses social narrative to base their episodes on, rather than just go, let's have fun with the science fiction thing. I think that gets
that's
distracting.
Star Trek. Star Trek has always been that though. That's what sci-fi is.
Okay, here's the difference: is that I feel like Star Trek, the original series, implied diversity. It didn't pause to talk about it. It simply did it. There's a black crew member. There's a Russian crew member. Right, they're there, and we're not going to pause on it to talk about it. Whereas the Orville stops to go, okay, well, here's a gender identity issue. Here's a sexism issue.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about it. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It isn't just depicted as, well, you know, everyone's equal.
But
So, I'm not saying I'm not saying it was wrong for them to do that. I'm just saying sometimes maybe some of the episodes should just sort of like, okay, well, let's run with the science fiction thing for a little bit. I feel like the show may suffer for doing that sometimes.
As Scott said, like the Next Generation was, you know, that, and then furthermore into, you know, Deep Space Nine was a lot of that stuff. So it's, I mean, give or take, like, I see what you're getting at, and yeah, it totally makes sense. Even though that I'm shocked that the original Star Trek series didn't get banned for having the first interracial kiss on TV.
They were treading thin water at the time. Because you got to think about the time it was done. There was some shit in there that they got away with that a lot of shows that were around them during those times were like, I wouldn't have done that on my show.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, about that show, like I said, they just did it, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't, when they did it, there wasn't a stop to go, oh, look, we're doing this interracial thing, it's wrong, we shouldn't be doing it. No, they just you know what I mean? It was like the foresight to understand this is how society will be eventually, and we're just going to go there and not pause on it for 1 second.
Yeah.
And with all this stuff being said about Hollywood and the shows and different things like that and the commentary, we now have a time where everybody is splitting the networks. So you used to have, Fox and ABC and NBC and blah, 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 blah. Now we've got
burned down already.
We've got an even bigger problem because now we have regular TV and your satellite channels or your cable channels, your bigger providers like HBO and Skinamax and stuff like that. Now we've got Amazon and Hulu and Netflix. And, like you got all these other things, and all these companies are starting to try to make apps so that you'll subscribe to their app to get specific programming. What do we think is going to end up where we're going to end up in the future with all of this split like this?
I think sooner or later, Time Warner and AT&T are going to start trying to buy those guys. But I don't think that will happen. But I do believe that streaming services are sort of the future of entertainment, and that these other companies need to catch up to that. The problem with that is that when there are too many players. Now, I know that's like a double-edged sword. Like, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like you don't want a monopoly where only two companies, which is what we have in telecommunication anyway, two companies own all the streaming services, but we also don't want 80 streaming services all charging the same rate for exclusive stuff. When Disney made the announcement of wanting to do their own, I'm like, oh, no, please don't do that. Like, I want to watch Star Wars and I want to watch Marvel shows, but I don't want to have to buy another service. And we were talking about how they own part of Hulu. I kind of wish it's like, just buy Hulu and use that rather than start up a whole new infrastructure and start from zero.
It's like the thing with TV networks. They're just trying to simulate everything, all the net services.
Well, here's what it all comes down to. Disney, they don't want to have to pay anyone else residuals. So if they have their own streaming service, they also have they have their own sports channel. They have their own networks. Yeah, Disney owns ESPN.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't know that.
That's why there's
ESPN.
the ESPN zone in Disney Town or whatever in Anaheim.
What the fuck?
Just outside of Disneyland. Yeah.
Down
So
at
that's
Disney
why if with this with 20th Century Fox trying to sell off their movies and TV division, the only thing that Fox can really keep are their news channels and their sports channels, because then those would kind of become a monopoly. They can't own, like, Disney can't own the news. They can't own another sports channel because they already have ESPN. So it would, but like if they did happen to buy 20th Century Fox, the movie company and the television company,
That adds to their
that adds to so much more of their streaming services. I mean, and also what's weird is you have different you have different studios making shows, but they'll sell their shows to other networks. So like if they don't want, if they're like, this isn't going to fit on either of my networks, I'll sell it to another network. So you'll see, like, even though Warner Brothers has the WB and technically the CW now, because that was UPN and WB put together, Warner Brothers will still make shows and sell them to different companies. Like they sold a bunch of stuff to NBC.
Yeah,
and
like
this and that.
the Flash and the CW shows have shown up both on Netflix and on Hulu.
Sure, there's
You know,
one
I
network.
have a little bit of a curiosity about that. Are we going to end up in a strange place like we are with phones? Okay, so you have, right now, just to shrink it down, a lot of people are Android or Apple, right?
Yeah,
The iOS or Android.
that's what
So-
it will become.
That's what is that what we're gonna end up seeing? Is people are gonna be like, well, I have Amazon and Netflix. Well, yeah, I have Disney and Hulu. Is that something that we're gonna see a lot of? Is people having to decide and pick where they're going for their content?
That's
Yeah.
basically why I commented, like, TV's trying to assimilate the net so they can just get back to the status quo.
Kind of like it all depends on, well, if this net neutrality thing happens.
Yeah. That.
But also there's always going to be one or the other.
Your
Like
congressman.
Marvel, DC, Star Trek, Star Wars. PlayStation. Sega, Nintendo, now Sony and Microsoft. PC, Mac. Beta, Max, VHS.
Reaching back.
You know,
Laser disc.
some of that stuff
DVD.
all kind of depended on
Pizza,
where
it's
porn went.
Domino's. You know, there's more. But.
HD DVD Blu-ray.
Yeah,
You know,
he certainly did.
Well, I'm waiting for somebody to decide to start bundling certain things together. Like you said, like if you buy a bundle which has like HBO, Hulu, Netflix together, Amazon, Disney, something together, like
it's going to go back to the
Yeah,
cable services. How it
yeah,
is.
like that does sort of make more sense in a sense where it's just like, okay, I don't want to pay for all of these separately, so you just sort of pick and choose them.
And we're gonna revert back to exactly what you just said. It's gonna be just like when cable was like, what package do you like?
Yeah, and now YouTube.
Stop talking about packages.
YouTube is
You want
starting to
the
do all that
Comcast?
stuff too now. So like you have, so what it will probably break down to is like
Shit, I know. Who's competing with YouTube?
it's
You
probably
want
going
my
to be
Amazon package?
so it's probably going to be Amazon, Netflix, Google, Apple. I think Hulu's probably going to get assimilated into one of those. Because, I mean, the only thing that Hulu has on top of Netflix or Amazon is that you can, for certain shows, you can get the show the next day.
Right.
And they have their own content. But that's really the only thing Hulu has. Hulu has a cool anime selection, I guess, so there's that. But then that's a completely different thing you got to deal with.
That industry needs to get their shit together.
They do.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's like certain like franchises and anime like are super confused about who owns the rights to what's, like especially like the Gundam series.
Yeah.
And then like Funimation,
Right.
I think they try to run their own streaming service.
They have
on
their own
its
streaming
own.
service.
A lot of
Right.
studios closed down out there.
Right, and then you have Crunchyroll,
Mhm.
which is okay. It could be better, but yeah, they really need to sort of like round up who owns the intellectual property and start doing the right thing and going, okay. we can
Surprisingly,
sell
still
this to
kicking
this.
in steam though, even with the confusion.
Yeah,
Some of those
it is
pieces.
kind of interesting development to see Netflix producing anime.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I haven't been a fan of all the shows they've picked so far, but it's still a good thing for that industry, and I think that some of the other companies should start looking into that as well.
It's like
Amazon Prime. How do you get it?
They have to subscribe to Amazon on their website.
But how do you do that? Like
pay a subscription.
and how? What's the subscription cost?
It's like $100 a year, I think.
Used to be.
Oh, what is it now?
It went up.
It's
But
like 120 a year, right?
yeah, and they changed it, so now you can actually pay monthly.
Oh.
It's like $10 or $11 or something like that. a
Yeah, I
month.
think that they've been billing me that way.
Yeah, so they broke it up so you don't have to pay it all at once. You could just do a monthly subscription. They
Interesting.
did it because they were going, well, we're going up against Netflix and all these other
Yeah.
companies
Yeah.
who are doing monthly.
Well, now they were
It's
finding
harder,
everybody was canceling their service right before they were got to internet.
Yeah,
Well, no,
that's what I did.
no. Like the thing is Amazon Prime. Those guys are at the forefront of it. I mean, Netflix is at the forefront of this digital streaming market, but Amazon, that is your one-stop shopping for everything. The only thing with Amazon, though, because with that $120, you get your Prime. You get access to their shipping capabilities. So like the free 2-day shipping.
Which
and this
in
and
my
that. You
opinion
get certain deals.
is what that membership is all worthwhile. Like the selection of Prime videos that are free is kind of shitty.
Sometimes they suck. Their original content's pretty good. Like some of that stuff's cool. If you don't happen to have HBO, what's cool with them is they have a lot of the HBO stuff, but only things that are from 5 years ago.
Right.
So like they won't have anything new from within 5 years, unless you get the subscription. But I mean that's still cool because that is super premium content that you can either pay $14 a month for the HBO app, or you just kind of wait and dilly dally. Like anybody who's not seen 6 Feet Under, Oz, Sopranos, Deadwood, Rome, Carnival, they can watch those all now for free on Amazon and not need the HBO app. But if you want to watch your current episodes of Westworld, Curb, Game of
I
Thrones,
haven't been sold on any of these. I guess that's just me.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just not interested in any of those.
But the original content, Tick is one of them, and so
that's true. That's the only
Van
one that I
Damme
was
show
like, okay, I gotta check this out.
Tick's great. Van Damme Johnson's great. Hand of God was okay. Bosch is pretty good. I did not watch I Love Dick. It didn't look funny.
The only thing I've been watching on there is the fact that they have Falling Skies on there for free.
Yeah, that was with some of the partnership, because they have their partnership is with like USA Networks or whatever, TNT, whatever channel that was on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they also have certain sci-fi shows, but they don't have other ones. You can watch Mr. Robot on that.
That's one actually I've been meaning to check out.
First season's good, but everything else shits the bed. The only thing, because I watch my Amazon, I watch it on my work computer, but I also watch it at home through my Xbox. The only thing that I did wish was that you had the capabilities of renting off of your Xbox, but I know that kind of goes against not using the Xbox rental system, because there's certain movies that I can rent on Amazon Prime, but I can't rent it off of the Xbox Marketplace. Because I did want to kind of watch Punisher Warzone, for when we were doing our review for the Punisher Netflix series. I wanted to just watch it and see how my feelings were towards that movie, because I legitimately hated it.
Yeah. The thing I don't like a lot about Amazon right now is that even when you buy stuff to stream, you don't actually own it. Like you can't.
Yeah, you can't download it on your devices.
Yeah, you can't watch it offline, and that kind of irritates me. I know why they're doing it is because they don't want people torrenting the stuff.
Pirating.
But I feel like they've done, begrudgingly, they've done a really good job of clamping down on torrenting and free stuff. So.
If you buy something, you should be able to watch it on any of your
That's what I'm saying.
your phone, tablet, computer, or whatever. You should be able to.
Yeah, my Amazon app lets me download videos that I purchased.
See, you can't do that on a PC though, or on a laptop. And my problem is that it's like, okay, well, what happens when your licensing or whatever expires from their streaming service and they remove that movie? It's like, I paid for it and now you took it down and I can't, that's
money.
Yeah, what's going to happen there? I don't think that they're dealing with that issue.
One thing that I like with Netflix recently is you can download certain shows or movies in case you lose Wi-Fi, so you can at least watch those.
Interesting.
When did they start doing that?
About a year ago? Less than a year ago, maybe?
6 months ago, maybe? Yeah.
Oh, I ain't download everything.
Yeah, I don't have to tell you that.
You can't download everything. It's only certain things.
Oh,
there'll be a button that says you can download.
Damn it.
No, I don't know if that's the Marvel shows.
That's a lot of fucking bandwidth, dude. I wouldn't want to have that on my shit.
Yeah.
I guess.
But my Wi-Fi goes out a lot, so it'd be cool to...
I have a lot of stuff I acquired by means.
We are certainly in an interesting day and age, though, with technology. Yeah. I mean, this is something, 10 years ago, we never had any of this at all.
Yeah, one of my failed attempts at schooling, I failed college 3 times.
I'm sorry, man.
So much debt, and I wanted to be an HR rep, right? Because originally I just wanted a business degree, and then I was like, oh, I'll learn some HR.
This is funny that the most inappropriate people apply for jobs.
Well, this is because I wanted to know what I could get away with, and also at the time my stupid job who was paying for my college even though they denied it, I wanted to use that HRness back at them, and I did with a vengeance, and it was great. I only took a couple of HR classes, but I learned the dumb jargon to make them be afraid of me.
Nice.
But anywho, we were, I was the only one that was intrigued, probably because of when we were doing film school, was intrigued about, it was right when Netflix was starting to do the streaming and this and that. And, I made that, a project, and people were like, what is this? Do you mean the rental Netflix? Yeah,
I remember that.
They're streaming all of this and that, and, they're doing this, and just from what we were, learning also then, even though Hollywood is told about all these things, they're like, nah! That won't be good. Fuck that. This is old hat. And then it happens, and they're like, "Why didn't anybody tell us?"
Those guys lack the foresight, and I almost I always kind of hope that
That's why all the
amid
old people
these-
need to go away.
Yeah,
Put 'em
amid
to
all
bed.
these sexual allegations, that they just get rid of all the shitty producers, the guys who don't know what they're doing, and then we're left with all these new people who can move forward.
I just want
and
it
do
to burn
shit.
down completely.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, even the board who chooses what can be Oscar nominated and whatnot and stuff, like that movie Get Out. Maybe it's the Golden Globes, but them too. Get Out is being nominated as a comedy. That is a horror movie.
That's weird.
The Martian was nominated and won as best comedy.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, I don't understand that.
I didn't laugh through that movie.
There were
very
some
much.
jokes.
Yeah, there were a few jokes. It doesn't make.
You
it
know,
a
I'm
comedy.
gonna science the shit out of this thing, but it wasn't a comedy, and it won best comedy.
That's weird.
And with that being
On
said,
top of films like Ghostbusters.
with that being said, you can see that we are in a state of disarray in Hollywood, and we'll
Stress
hopefully
me
see
out.
it straighten itself out in the coming years, and we can get back to just enjoying the content that comes from it, and not having to
Yeah.
worry about all the.
Well, I kind
Bad
of hope the
stuff.
streaming services take over. To where, you know,
That's what I'm
Netflix and Amazon and Hulu become the major producers of media. And
Guard needs to go.
yeah, I think it's okay. These guys.
Too greedy and rapey.
Yeah, because even the net neutrality arguments, when you get down to it, are about that. The companies that own your internet service, like Warner, for instance, they're Hollywood. You know what I mean? And they don't want to have to change, and they don't want to have to adapt to this new age of filmmaking, of media. So they're trying to find ways to,
Simulate.
yeah, well, not just assimilate. I mean, they're almost refusing to do that. They're trying to find ways to block you from this new sort of generation and limit it. No, you only, if you buy internet, you have to buy satellite TV
Yeah,
too,
they're
so
trying
that
to
you get.
appropriate the freedom of the
Yeah,
internet.
so you
Hopefully
get
that
it from
gets
us,
straightened
not
out,
from
too.
them. Yeah, so hopefully we have to hope that our congressmen have enough sense
And with
to
that,
block this.
I'd like to wrap up Babbling Garbage, and thank everybody for joining me. This is the first episode. Hoping to have plenty more, and there's going to be a variety of guests, and we'll see who joins me as co-hosting along the way, and just whatever it goes. I'm not really that concerned with the meat of the potatoes. I'm more concerned with the potatoes of the meat. So we'll see what happens. Thank you
potatoes.
again for if you made it through this all the way from beginning
Yeah,
to end.
if you're still listening, thank you.
There's a reason why it's called Babbling. It's
We'll
called
try to be
Babbling
funnier
Garbage.
next time.
Yeah. And I'd like to thank again Len, Studio 4 R&D, DTP,
Sandwich.
Sam, Mr. Sandwich of HR,
Footlong.
doing his shit sandwich video gaming. Name to be determined. We got Sweeetalks over here, also of DTP R&D. And I am Scott.
So
I'm
many
usually behind the
acronyms.
camera or doing editing and other stuff like that. But
So many acronyms.
I was about to tell you,
there's a
we
lot of
can't
stuff.
have any more acronyms.
Yeah, this is Scott of BG. See, I'm going to make another one. Babbling Garbage.
R&D,
And this was fun.
BBG.
It was fun, and it went pretty well. This is what I hope to expect out of all of them in the future. Probably shorter, just because I won't have as many people on likely as guests, because I won't always be as lucky. Anyway, you have a good evening, folks, and enjoy.
Right.
Bye.